Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
Yeah, that imbalance to me made it not as good as Slayer once was, but that's what's going to happen when one of the founders and main composers of Riffage is no longer present, right?
But would you say that in front of Carrie's wife?
Yeah, I'd say it in front of Carrie. Right there at the table while you sign my box.
The table, and she'll reach out
and shut the
go
fuck
for
up,
your
but
throat.
he won't do that. He won't do that. He's like 5'5" and I'm 6'5", so he's gonna look up at me and go, "What the fuck is happening here?" And I'm gonna be like, "Yes, little man, shut the fuck up. Jeff was the fucking heart of this band, and when that fucking dude exited, I'm sorry, it took a drastic turn." And that Tom would tell you that. Everyone will tell you. There's no knock on Gary Holt either. Gary Holt's a hell of a guitar player. I love Exodus, but I like my Gary and Exodus. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying I wouldn't go see him right now. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that songwriting wise, what they're doing live on a stage is still playing some of the songs that Jeff had a hand in writing that y'all know and want to hear. But my point is, I just think album wise, it started going more and more that direction. And I don't mind Kerry King once in a while, but I do kind of feel like when I listen to his songwriting, every song after a while does sound and feel the same,
repetitive,
and the guitar solos are the same sloppy shit going on.
Wait a minute, are you saying his solos sound like a guy trying to solo as he's falling down 3 flights of stairs?
I will be honest in saying I don't think either him or Jeff ever should have fucking soloed. They were never the best soloists.
They weren't
in
great,
any way, shape, or form. They were,
but
better
somehow
riff
it
writers.
worked. I mean, I think that was kind of like the punk rock end of influence for those two guys. Absolutely. Is that they weren't great.
And they each gave you a little bit, not a lot of either one. So it kind of gave you some change in style and what they were playing. Like, but they're no KK Downing and Glenn Tipton.
Oh, that's true.
They're not that level of guitar player. Yeah.
Right. And the funniest thing is like, especially I feel Hell Awaits is the key album for this is, maybe to the casual listener or someone who only knows the big Slayer hits, they're like, what are you talking about? It all sounds the same. I'm like, tell you what, you listen to Hell Awaits, you can definitely tell when Jeff's soloing and when Carrie's soloing. When Jeff's soloing, it might be the faintest strain, but you could still hear a hint of that Merciful Fate and Priest influence. And when Carrie's soloing, it's just wee.
Yeah.
It's like exactly. It's like, and here comes Carrie's solo.
Yeah, right. Oh,
here comes a flurry of misappropriated notes going at you, all crazy, usually with a little whammy bar in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'm curious because you're a Priest, a huge Priest fan. What's your take on bands like Primal Fear? Because again, they're clearly influenced by Priest, so much to the point that you're like, geez, if I want to listen to Priest, I'll listen to Priest, right? And again, that's one of those bands that I think they're, I like their earlier stuff. There was a cutoff point, I think, when they did what was it? What is it? Before the one that's titled Before the Devil Knows Your Name or some shit like that. They did a tour for that particular album, and they did it in a small club in Portland. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was the kind of club, well, it's no longer there, but it was called the Satyricon. So you saw all the grunge bands there early on, and a lot of the punk bands. I think prior to seeing them in that club, I think the last band that I had seen was The Accused.
Oh wow!
There, and I was like, oh my God! Well, when's the crowd show up? And I'm sitting there going, well, I'm kind of early. They had Havoc opening, and another local band. Well, I wasn't too fond of the local opener, so I waited a little bit. I come back and I'm like, holy shit, where is all the people? And I'd probably be exaggerating if I said there was 20 people there for Havoc, and about the same for Primal Fear, which was really sad. But nice enough people, nice guys. I mean, I got a chance to meet with them afterwards, and they actually had Pamela Moore touring with them.
Really?
And it was kind of weird because then it's like, well, how's this going to go? Because now I got to interview these guys, and it was supposed to be, um, uh, what's his face, Matt Sinner. And then he goes, oh, come on the bus, the band's all here. And I was like, holy shit, the whole band. And I'm thinking, this is going to be something, because they just, played their ass off, and good performance. But I'm like, fuck, there was like 20 people there, so that was kind of an interesting interview. And then they go, well, bring on Pamela. Yeah, she can be part of the interview. I'm like, oh my God. So it was really sad, totally cool, nice folks. But yeah, I mean, I'm just like, man, that was really sad. And you can see why they don't tour the United States. I think that was the last tour that they actually did, where they went across the US. And now it's just been, so I think it's usually Prog Power in Atlanta that they play. And then just some scattered dates and stuff like that. But what's your take on Primal Fear? Because again, they have that Judas Priest formula down, maybe to the point that it's kind of so close to the originators that maybe some people kind of avoid it.
Well, to the point where, Ralph Sheppers allegedly was
Yeah.
supposed to be the guy to
Yeah.
replace Halford.
Yeah.
And then, of course, ultimately
Ripper.
that didn't happen. And Ripper came into the picture. Primal Fear, I'm going to be completely honest here, man. I was late to the game with that band, and I
Mhm.
was late to the game with Euro power metal as a whole. Being in college, or starting college in the late 2010s, being 18, 19, when the whole kind of like off the heels of when Sirith Ungol was doing their Frost and Fire Fest,
Mhm.
and like there was this big resurgence of 80s, true Cavalt metal and everything. I was of this mindset where I'm like, oh, it's US power metal or nothing. It's Omen and it's Sirith Ungol and it's Thundersteel Riot, and all that Euro stuff is lame except for Walls of Jericho from Halloween, and that's
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh.
And then the last 5 years, I started revisiting, or yeah, giving Euro power metal another shot. And I never in a million years would have thought that like I'd be into Halloween and Blind Guardian and Primal Fear and all these bands, and yet here we are. Now, granted, I'm still very picky with Euro power metal,
Right.
because I think a lot of it falls into a formula, and a lot of it gets to be like a little, for my taste, a little too overblown and a little too, oh, Night at the Opera
Right.
type. Like for example, we went to see Rhapsody of Fire last month. It
Oh,
was
okay.
we met mainly the openers. Enforcer was opening and Striker was opening, and we went for them. But my one friend who was in our friend group who went really wanted to check out Rhapsody of Fire, and the tickets were free. So we were like,
Mhm.
sure, let's give these guys a shot. And I must say, I was impressed. These guys can play their asses off. I mean, it's like Ingve level virtuosity on all instruments. And the first 40, 45 minutes, I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. And then I want to say by the hour and a half, hour, 40-minute mark, it was getting to be a little too Vakken, too hey,
Oh
hey, hey. And
yeah, yeah.
I was like, okay, like maybe if I'm feeling it, this would be my cup of tea. But circling back to Primal Fear, yeah, they're a band that I did get into. Very much so because of that, because they, like you said, especially on those early records, they
Mhm.
nailed the Priest formula.
Right.
Now they're a band that when you look at their discography, because they've only got like what 20
Yeah.
songs, it
Right.
feels like. You look at the 90s stuff and the 2000s stuff, and they do a great job nailing that traditional Priest sound. The early ones, especially at a time when Priest is not playing that sound at all, right? They got
Mhm.
Ripper, and they're doing kind of more of a groovy Pantera type thing. Um, and those Primal Fear records, I think, scratched that itch at that time, turn of the
Right.
century. And then there's probably a point where, like you said, maybe it gets to be a little too cliche, a little
Mhm.
too Euro power pomp. And the records, there's a couple good songs, but it just kind of gets to
Right.
be, the same thing. But those early ones, man, especially that first record,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, if that's not one of the best Priest albums never made, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was just checking out because, like I said, my cutoff point was at that 16:6 before the devil knows you're dead.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I go back and I'm thinking, what was the album? I mean, obviously Primal Fear, but I
Mhm.
I really whatever reason, there was something really good happening on Unbreakable and New Religion. Like those two records, I think they're my go-tos.
Sure.
And the Primal Fear record. So I do have the new one. I just haven't listened to it. I mean, again, I got the promo advanced stream, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna order it. But I haven't listened to it. I'm sure maybe I'll open up the Kerry King one. It's funny. I was just reading your review of the Bangalore Choir, and mine just showed up today. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, they have a formula, but I always kind of go back to the originators, probably mostly because it's kind of what I know, right? I mean, what's your take on, and I know Evil and Andrew, the other fellow that does this show with us, we kind of poke fun a little bit at the maybe some of we refer to them as kind of cosplayers, the people that try to get into the whole glam of the 80s, and then you have all these Scandinavian bands that, okay, you kind of have it, but it almost seems like AI music to us, like it's like you're almost there, but you're not quite hitting the spot. What's your take on that from your perspective, being that you're a more youthful person than us?
So are we talking about, just to be clear,
let me give you a couple examples. How about Crazy Licks, for instance?
Oh, okay. Because when you said the cosplayers, the first thing that popped in my head, I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? The people that go to Hell's Heroes every year, and it's like a fashion show that gets posted on Instagram
well,
for 4
and
days
then
straight?
there's that too,
Okay.
because again, then you have like people that are into, let's say, like a band like Midnight. Right.
Oh.
And then they dress up, and it's like an event, or it almost is goofy as the guys and gals that go see Steel Panther. For example, I'll go in whatever I'm wearing, which is t-shirt, hat, and jeans and sweatshirt, whatever. For me, it's just like, well, I was already there. I already did that. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to dress up for something like that, because it would be cheesy. But okay, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But for some of us, it almost becomes kind of like, well, do you really enjoy it, or is, like you said, is it a fashion thing?
So, speaking to what you were referring to first,
Right.
The first part of this twofold beast, we'll say, the Scandinavian bands, I think the ones who are great are phenomenal. The ones who, and I've been cheerleading for bands like Eclipse, Heat, Crazy Licks. I love Crazy Licks, man.
I've seen all three of those, and I'm not a fan of any.
But you know what?
But what's interesting though?
Okay.
It's so funny to watch, like Heat. They can't do it without their tracks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I saw it from the cruise. I was standing at the back of the balcony area watching, and they were just kind of like, no, we can't improvise. And I was like, holy shit. Well, they just went down a few notches. Again, not that using, like pre-recorded stuff. I mean, somebody like Jeff Tate, let's say, for instance, is running some pre-recorded stuff for this Operation Mindcrime and just any of the Empire stuff that he does. But these guys are pantomiming, and it's like, well, shit, this blows. So that really turned me off, right? It's like you see a good looking chick, and then you're like, oh, okay, she's got potty mouth and she's smoking cigarettes. It's kind of, that's a deal breaker for me, so yeah, I mean, but okay, go on. I'm sorry.
So what might turn you off, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is I could see you being from the era of, like, I mean, you obviously remember when Rat and Motley Crue and Cinderella and all those bands, ruled the roost, right? So for you, seeing any bands just trying to replicate that vibe and sound, I could see how to you that's just like, it's been there, done that. And I understand that mentality absolutely 100%. You'll never see me be like, oh, what did you, like, I'm not gonna freak out like that.
Yeah.
I personally, I love those bands and I love those records. But for every Eclipse, Heat, and Crazy Licks, there is about 24 bands out there who are all style, no substance. They've got the look, but they can't write the song for the life of them aside from a bunch of Def Leppard cliches, right? So that's why like I love that style, but it's got to be done right. I think two other bands I got to shout out who I think do a great job at that style. And it's funny because they both didn't start in that style, but they've
Mm.
since made the hop over. Hittin from Spain.
Mm.
Um, they started as a very much like Priest, Exciter type, like speed
Okay.
metal band. Um, and now they're like full blown glam, and they
Okay.
do an incredible job at it. And I saw them live earlier this year, and I could vouch as someone who saw them as one of like 20 people on a club in a Wednesday night. The only tracks they had running were the synthesizer tracks because
Sure.
they, can't have keyboardists with them.
Sure.
Everything else, even down to the harmonies, live. I was very impressed with these guys. And then the other band, same thing, Striker from Canada.
Okay. Yeah.
Striker who started out as just belligerent, thrashy speed, kind of like Priest meets
Hmm.
Municipal Waste. Just, all the thrashers were into Striker, when I was growing up. And then I want to say about whenever that Live to Win or Play to Win, whatever that record was
Yeah.
called, back in 2018 came out and it crossed my radar and I heard it. I'm like, this can't be the same band. This
Right.
sounds like Priest meets Loverboy. What is
Right.
this? But it was
Right.
great. And then I find out
Right.
it is the same band and they've gone full glam now.
Hmm.
And they just bring the party live. Now it's funny, I remember when as a kid they'd come out, denim and leather. Now they come out wearing animal print and pit vipers and their hair bands. They're like, let's
Right.
fucking party, people. And I'm like,
Right.
wow, I 12-year-old Joe would have never seen this arc happening,
Hmm.
but I think they're a better band for it. So the bands who can adapt to the glam style
Sure.
musically and pull it off and have the hooks, more power to them. But I will say, Ruben, by and large, when you look at the large pool of those Scandinavian acts, a lot of them just don't cut the mustard,
No, they don't.
So it's I'm in the middle there. I'm
Right.
smack dab in the middle.
But it is interesting because I have seen Stryker supporting other bands, and I have seen kind of like, wait, this can't be the same band, right? And
Yeah.
that is one that stands out, which I should go back and check out some more of their more current stuff. But yeah, nice.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah. And what's your thought on Steel Panther? I mean, what's your take on that? I think that's kind of worked its course, don't you think?
So if you
Hey,
could
hey,
believe-
hey, hold on.
Oh.
Satchel taught me how to put my wig
Oh.
on, man. So don't.
You're not supposed to say that's a wig.
Well, he showed me how to get the headband with the wig combo just right.
Get the weave.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Uh,
Satch knows how to make hair look like real hair. Okay.
It's interesting though, Joe. I don't know if you know this, but the three of the guys in Steel Panther were in the Atomic Punks, which
Yes.
that version of the Atomic Punks was the best version, and I was lucky enough to see that 3 times. So you got the bass player, you got the singer, and you got the guitarist. Yeah, that was the most authentic Van Halen, better than Van Halen Roth era, I think, live. And it was, yeah, you can't go wrong with that. I wish they'd go
Wow.
back and do that.
That's something else. I've never seen Steel Panther, so I can't speak,
Oh,
believe it or not.
no
So I
shit.
can't. And the reason why I've never seen them is, I'll be honest, the majority of my life, I kind of just saw them as, I mean, I wasn't like this Eddie Trunk type, oh, they're making fun of my music. Like I didn't see him like that, but I just thought it was so
Yeah.
stupid. I was like, man, these songs are stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, and admittedly they are. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like,
they are. I
and it's
mean,
weird because like always loved Spinal Tap.
sure.
So it's like, how have I always dug Spinal Tap, but like the Steel Panther thing just went over my head. And growing up, it was like, oh, but there's shows, man, and there's all these hot moms and blah blah blah, and et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And then I want to say it wasn't until the last year or so that a friend of mine was like, oh man, give that first album a
Mhm.
shot. And I gave it a shot. And I will say they can play.
Yeah.
And there's actually,
Yeah.
I'll go a step further and say there's actually some pretty decent songs on there. So much so that 2 of my best friends went to go
Yeah.
see him last year at House of Blues, which, by the way, they always sell out here, man.
Mhm.
Steel Panther can draw like 1,200 people in Chicago like that. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think a large reason was they were doing the first album in full.
Mhm.
So my friends went and they sent me some videos. I did get some FOMO because I was probably just sitting on my couch spinning records, and I was like, oh, this kind of looked fun. So they're coming. Funny enough, they're coming to the Arcada in
Oh, there you
December,
go.
and I think I'm probably gonna end up checking it out.
You know
Just to
what? If you go, we should have you come back because I'm curious to see what your first Steel Panther experience. I mean, I've seen him like about 4 or 5 times. I don't. The last time my buddy, who's a photographer, he goes, "Hey, you want to go review Steel Panther?" I'm like, "Well, what for?" I mean, it's basically the same show. They just rotate a new song into the set. And I'm like, it made it hard for me to go out like on a Thursday or Wednesday night
yeah.
when it happened. I was like, fuck, I have to drive an hour and a half to fucking Portland. Hope I don't get robbed or stabbed or shot. And then once I get to the venue, I'll get to watch a rerun of a show that I've already seen, minus a song or two. And then I have to go back to the car and hope I don't get stabbed or mugged or robbed, and then I have to drive another hour and a half home. But yeah, yeah, I think that's kind of worked its course. I mean, I do enjoy the first and second record, and those are the only two I own because I think I bought the third, and I'm like, even at that point, it was kind of losing a little
Sure.
something. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of, yeah, I don't think I'll go see them again unless they do something, unless they do a farewell tour. Then maybe I'll think about it.
You know what they'll do because they're such jokers and they have
Yeah,
a great sense of humor. I'll give them that. One day they will announce like a farewell tour. It'll be like, oh, it's the last tour until the next. Watch them bill a
right.
tour or something like that. It'll be
Well,
very tongue in
well,
cheek.
speaking of sense of humor, I know I forget, it was 2014, 2015. It was at the NAMM show. I forget which one of those 2 years they performed at the House of Blues, and they were headlining. Well, that sold out. I mean, it's the NAMM show. Everybody wants
Right.
in. And, I mean, it's at the NAMM show. So anybody you're either in front of you, behind you is somebody famous. And I
Hmm.
remember Doug Pennick was standing to my right. And I'm like, "Hey, you're Doug Pennick." He goes, "Yeah, that's right." And I'm like, "Hey, you guys are performing in Portland this April." And I had tickets at the time. The show got canceled, and never was rescheduled. But they were performing, and Michael Starr, Ralph, the singer, says, "Hey, we're having such a great time tonight. Even the black guy from King Zax is having fun." And I look at him like, and he turns around and walked out. And I was like, "Holy shit!" I mean, I hope he knew him, and I don't know, maybe that was just a coincidence that he walked out. But I'm like, Jesus, what a thing to say. I was just kind of like, that's kind of cringy.
Yeah, that's oof. That's rough, man.
But then I was just talking. We had Adam Jode from Scattered Hamlet, and I was with that. What topped that one was the Phil Anselmo Hitler salute at the Time Bash, and he was up closer. I think he was saying he was they were actually goofing on some of the performers. So yeah, I mean, there's some goofy shit happens, and I think it all is alcohol induced or whatever. But
Oh yeah.
in good fun. But some of that shit backfires. My God, I mean,
My
Well,
my fate. Oh, go on, Evil Neely.
oh, I was just gonna say real quick that, but if you go to the Steel Panther show, you know that they're gonna talk about screwing your mom after
oh
the
yeah,
show. So they really
Yeah.
have no bounds, race, sex, this, that, the other. It all goes out the door if you're gonna go see
hmm
them because they are literally gonna bust on everybody in the room if they have a chance. So
oh
go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so my favorite part of the whole Phil Anselmo fiasco, and this might dash any hope of me ever interviewing him, but to me, but to me, what always killed me about that video
Yeah,
is when he does it,
he
and then
says
once
it.
it's well, he says it, but
Yeah,
he does it with the one arm, and then the dude who's right next to him from Goat Horror, or whatever band it was, raises his other arm to try to make it look like it's like yay,
yeah,
and then he
and
doubles down and does it again, and
and and then what's his face? The drummer from Type O tries to put his arm down and go, "Come on, let's go in the back."
oh, that was it. It was typo
Kelly.
um, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
Johnny
who
Kelly.
that's who it was.
yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was one of the dudes from Goat Horror. I know one of the dudes from Goat Horror was there playing that thing.
Or we should say it was the drummer from Quiet Riot.
Well, correct. But yeah, he lifted his
Yeah.
arm up to make it look like he's going like yay to make it look better. And that to me is the funniest part where he's like
Yeah.
he knows what's happening. He's trying to salvage
Yeah.
a really
He's
bad
like,
situation.
good
And then
night, you
Phil,
guys.
yeah, and then Phil just doubles down by
Yeah. And then
you
he
know,
says, what? Ow. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, he laid into that. I'm like,
Oh,
son
he
of
did.
a bitch. I'm like, fuck. My
Well,
God.
but again, another guy who has behind the scenes reputations of saying things sometimes they're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's a bad dude. I don't know him. I never met him. I just know people that have told me he says some shit sometimes that makes you go, what
And
the
it
fuck
and
did
it
he
is
just say?
interesting, just kind of some of the shit some of these musicians say, because I'm sure you're familiar with Kill Devil Hill, so
Yeah.
which was the Rex, Vinny, and a couple other guys, I forget,
Dewey Bragg.
Mark and Dewey. But they were doing the second show they performed in Portland, a little club, probably 300 people, moderately attended. But they announced we're gonna meet you guys at the merch booth. Well, it took a while for the other three guys to make their way out to the merch booth. Vinny comes out and he goes, "Hey, where are all the other guys?" And it was like, well, fuck, it's your band. You should know where they're at, right? So he signed a few things. Like, he waited like 10 minutes. He goes, well, doesn't look like they're coming, so fuck it, I'm out of here. And he left. And then 15 minutes later, the other guys come back and they're like, hey, is Vinny coming? Well, he should be along. And they're like, no, he was already here. Then they're like, oh, I guess he's not coming back. I mean, it was just kind of like, he wasn't used to that level of touring, I don't think, because that was the beginnings of the Sprinter van
Yeah.
touring, so too bad.
Yeah.
That's wild. The funniest Phil story that happened to someone in my orbit that is just a hoot. And yeah, screw it, I'll just tell it. It's not that terrible, but it's a funny, it's a hoot.
Okay.
So this was, because after that incident, as we know, he took, I want to say at least a year probably
Mhm.
away from the spotlight. And then Superjoint came back, which I saw that tour and it was awesome. And that was when he went on his apology, non-apology tour with like Decibel and all the media outlets. And it was just kind of very awkward. Well, at the time, the venue they played here was a venue called The Forge. It used to be called Mojo. Or maybe it was still Mojo's at the time, but it's in Joliet, which is like, Joliet Jake, the Blues Brothers. It's where the prison is. It's like an hour outside of the city. Anyways, one of my best friends in the whole wide world was working for this venue at the time. And he was, oh boy, I mean, he's a year or two older than me. So at the time, he was like 18, 19 probably. And he was working as a driver. And he was Phil's driver for the day. And he was, I love Pantera. I love like a lot of the Phil projects. He was never a fan, so to him it was just like a job or whatever. But granted, obviously everyone knows who Phil is, and he's an icon. And it was just kind of like, oh wow, like that's cool. You're gonna be driving Phil and Solo for the day, like that's wild. And of course, when you're like that good friends with someone, you and he and your group of friends have your little group chat. So of course we're all in the group chat. We're all like, "Oh, yo, man, let us know how Phil is, whatever, this, that." And I want to say it's about maybe 5 in the afternoon. We get this photo of like a selfie that he snuck of him behind the wheel of the car and Phil in his passenger seat, just like knocked out. Now, granted, it's the road is hard, and that was a long tour, so I just assumed like he was taking a nap or whatever. And then my buddy, he texts us and he texts us and he tells us the whole diatribe of what went down. So I guess Superjoint gets there and Phil, here's your driver. I'm not gonna say his name because he's in a driver's now in a band that tours and whatnot. Here's your driver, so and so. So and so, here's Phil. Okay. And Phil says to my buddy, he says, hey man, is there anywhere in the area where we could get some kratom? Kratom? What the hell? I was like, what the hell is kratom? I had to Google it. And I'm like,
right.
it's like Timu weed? What?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
like what? Well, sure enough, there's a store on the outskirts of Joliet that sells kratom. So my buddy takes them there to this head shop, and the two guys who run this place, sound like your typical Joliet bumpkins, like Juggalo dudes, and they walk
Oh,
in and they're like, "Oh my God, Phil from Pantera's in here. We're such big fans here, man." They just start throwing stuff at him, and Phil's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll take a picture with you, cool, whatever." So they take a picture, they post it on their Facebook page. We can't believe Phil from Pantera came in, blah blah blah. So Phil, he gets his stash, starts hitting the stuff, and then immediately, um, starts like nodding off in the car or in the van, and then but in between, he's like he starts telling random anecdotes that he never finishes. So he'll be like, my buddy, the way he said it was, he's like nodding off, and then he's like. And then in 1994, we were with Peter Steele, and we were playing the Hartford Civic Center, and this and this is going on for like probably like an hour or whatever,
Holy shit.
and we're just dying like laughing as he's like sneaking these photos. And then because we're all at the show that night, we're in between songs. Phil obviously isn't paying attention to a bunch of goofy snot-nosed kids. All of us in the group chat were there. We're yelling, "Yay, Phil! You got any kratom? Got any kratom, Phil?" And everyone's like, "That's like, what the hell are you talking about?" But
oh,
yeah, so that's the most infamous Phil
oh,
story that I have that now the world knows.
oh, Jesus. Oh my God. Well,
Oh, that is funny.
that's far fetched. That would have never happened.
Yeah, never.
Oh,
That doesn't sound like Phil at all.
No.
yeah. Oh my
But
God.
I think he just sometimes goes into rock star interview pilot mode when he's out of his shit on something, and he just starts answering questions like you were interviewing him or something when there was no interview happening. That sounds
Right.
like something Phil would do for sure.
God.
Yep.
Well, nice. Well, shit, we've already kept you for an hour and 15 minutes.
shit,
I was like,
man.
we were going to keep him at an hour, and we just keep yapping.
Keep
So,
Oh, this is fun, man.
so we will drag you back if you'll come back after you check out Steel Panther. I'm really curious at your experience because I'm sure you're gonna document that and throw it up on your website. I'm sure.
I don't know about that as much as it's if I'm gonna be completely honest, because
Mhm.
Arcata, I get comps for the most part anyways,
Mhm.
just because, they know me and
Sure.
I know them. That's
Right.
one that I don't know if I'm gonna go so far to review it for Defenders, but
Okay.
it would be a fun review for Defenders, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I probably would be.
If I don't end up reviewing it for Defenders, and this is assuming I want to make the hour something drive
Right.
on a weeknight and rush
Yeah.
hour.
Right.
If I do, Ruben and Evil Neely, feel free to drag me
Ooh.
by my hair,
Oh,
and
we'll drag him by his hair.
we will do the review of Steel Panther on here, man. This has been a
Oh, look at
blast.
that. Well, I think before we cut you loose, and thanks so much. So the website is defendersofthefaithmetal.com, right?
Yes,
So
because
you have to
Defenders of the
throw
Faith
in
is
metal in
fake.
there. Yeah, you
Yes.
have to throw in metal, otherwise you're not going to get it.
Yeah, head to defendersofthefaithmetal.com and you'll get my smartass ramblings on albums, concert reviews, and I'd like to think some pretty interesting interviews, because if you type in defendersofthefaith.com, you're
Mhm.
going to get some like Catholic website. So
Yeah.
come to my stuff instead.
And I'm guessing right before we cut you loose, there's probably a couple things we need to drag out of you. One, most challenging interview, and two, best interview to date that you've done.
Okay. The most challenging interview. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just no. I'm just gonna be completely
Yeah.
honest, because that's the one thing I'll say too. Is let me preface this by saying I started Defenders as an anti. What I saw was very sanitized, very kind of, oh, this album's great, that album's great, this guy's
Mhm.
great, that guy's great. I'm like, well, geez, if everything's great and
Mhm.
everyone's a fan of everything, and there's a lot of bands who should be in the spotlight that aren't, I'm like, oh, I'll kind of do my own thing. So I'd like to think to an extent that I've kind of
Mhm.
succeeded in that vision. So when people ask me a question like that, I'm not even gonna hold back. I'm just gonna say it like it is. And another question I get is, why the webzine? Why don't you do
Mhm.
YouTube? Why don't you have a podcast?
Mhm.
The reason I don't do YouTube and I don't have a podcast is because of an interview like this. God rest his soul. I will worship Iron Maiden killers till the day I die, but Paul Diano, man,
Mm.
that was brutal.
I remember that.
That that did you get him on that run?
Well, I was going to, and it didn't work out because of it. I found out from other people who had had negative experiences, during that, I guess, what is it? I guess promotional cycle, I
Yeah.
guess, right? Yeah.
So this was like maybe a month before he passed.
Hmm.
And if I'm being completely honest, the dude, I mean, he was sick. He was in
Yeah.
really bad shape. And obviously, like he went not long after. And I was given a half hour. I got maybe 10 minutes out of him. And of those 10 minutes, um, every other line, come on, let's bloody hurry this up, man. I'm sick. I gotta go. Come on, let's go. And I'm like, yeah, Mr. Diano, we're doing this. We're almost done. But I was just like in my head, I was like, oh Jesus, man, like please, let's get something salvageable out of this. And I did because how I ended up finding out how he passed was I'm at work and my phone starts buzzing and I get the notification from the Jetpack app,
Hmm.
the WordPress Jetpack app saying your stats are booming. And I'm like, oh really? At like 9 in the morning on a Tuesday or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And I
Right.
look and the Paul Diano interview has like 3,000 views. And I'm
Hmm.
like, that's bizarre. And then I see that Rolling Stone linked it to the
Hmm.
obituary of Paul Diano. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, like, was I like the last interview this guy did or one of them? Because if Rolling Stone and Far Out and all these are quoting my interview, which I guess was the most recent one, so be it. So yeah, Paul, the hardest interview. There's two others that come to mind, but Paul absolutely was the hardest.
Mm.
But again, nothing personal, and I could only
Right.
imagine how in bad shape he must have been, man. So I appreciate him even giving me those 10 minutes, man. And the best interview that I ever did to this day, and I think it will forever be the best interview I did. And it's probably the reason I'm even sitting with you right now. And it's probably the reason, Ruben, that you even know my site to begin with,
Hmm.
is John Oliva from
Oh
Sabotage.
yeah, he's great.
Um, which
Oh.
was his first interview since he had that stroke. It was like
Hmm.
his first interview in 5 years. And the
Right.
way that I pulled that off was I ended up tracking down, I don't even remember the guy's name now, but shout out to you, PR dude, whoever
Yeah.
you are. Big name. I found TSO's guy.
Oh yeah.
And the way that I weaseled my way into that was it was during COVID and TSO was doing that live stream quarantine whatever thing
Hmm.
because they couldn't tour.
Right.
So I figured I hit up this guy and I'm like, hey, could we do some press for the TSO thing? And also, we are a metal site so I would ask like a couple sabotage questions. And this guy hits me up and he's like, yeah, 30 minutes, TSO, like two sabotage questions tops.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, beggars can't be choosers, fine. And
Hmm.
John, again, had not done an interview in years, and here he is taking a chance on this no-name webzine in the middle of,
Hmm.
the pandemic. Okay, fine. Well, what was supposed to be a half-hour interview ended up turning into an hour-and-a-half interview.
Hmm.
And what was supposed to be a TSO presser turns into a basically sabotage history lesson with maybe like two TSO questions. And by the time I got off the phone with him, I was just riding on such an adrenaline high. I was like, fuck, did that even happen? And then I start listening back and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's gonna be pissed. There's like nothing about TSO or the
Hmm.
product in here. This is like
Right.
all sabotage. And like I mean, stuff about sabotage that I end up finding out as the interview spread like wildfire. There was stuff that like no one had known, or like he spilled some details that were like behind the scenes that people were like, wow, I didn't know that. Um, but I type it out and I send it to the guy and I say, hey man, I hope this is acceptable. This is what I got. And feel free to share it around as you see fit. He gets back to me like 5 minutes later, and I thought like, hell was going to be rained down
Hmm.
upon me. Instead, this guy says to me, he says, and I quote, he says, dude, this reads like an autobiography. This is fucking amazing. I'm sharing this everywhere. Thank you, man.
Hmm.
Because again, John hadn't done any press in
Hmm.
ages. The next morning after I post it, I've got in my inbox people from Metal Hammer, Revolver, Rolling Stone, Loudwire, etc., saying, "Who the hell are you, and how did you get John Oliva?" And I'm like, yeah, so I'm a 21-year-old who's doing this from his bedroom at his desk, and I hit up TSO's guy and I gave him the pitch, and here it was. And they were like, but how? And I'm like, that's all I got, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm not some big, and I think it was Metal Hammer. They were like, we tried for Oliva and they turned us down, man. They wouldn't give us Oliva. I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, John, if you're watching this, thank you, dude. You're the reason that Defenders has been going for 5 years and will go on hopefully for another 5 more.
Nice. Yeah, and he is a super nice dude. I think it's been ages since I've chatted with him, but I got him on the 3 John Oliva's Pain albums when he put those out. I mean, that's been probably what, over 15 years maybe?
Oh
I think
yeah.
at this
Yeah,
point.
it's been 15ish years, yeah.
But you're right. I mean, the fucking guy just keeps yapping, and I'm thinking that was when I was recording everything on micro cassettes, and I have the micro cassettes somewhere. I should shift those into and transfer those digitally, because those are just going to deteriorate. But yeah, oh my god, well, cool stuff, man. I really I'm a defender of the faith, man. I wish you the best. Keep it up. And it was good chatting with you. And I appreciate you coming on short notice and just kind of stepping in, talking a little bit about website, mixing it up, metal. I think regardless of whether you make it to Steel Panther or not, it'd probably be good to drag you in for end of the year, maybe your favorite metal release, favorite show of the year. Maybe what you're looking forward to in 26, maybe, anticipated stuff. So maybe we could do that. I mean, either way. And then, and we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me on. I'd love to do it. Ruben, always great talking to you. And Evil Neely, great meeting you, brother. Cheers.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Raise your horns high.